oh my god, why can't I attack this chicken in Neverwinter Nights?
Really?
Yeah,
Because
no,
he's
I'm
true
trying to...
neutral.
I'm lawful neutral. I should be able to attack a chicken.
Lawful neutral? You can't murder chickens.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 18 of Random Encounter. I'm your host, Robert Steinman, Pale Robbie on the boards. Joining me today is the regular cast of Misfits, including the newsman.
Zach Pintchik, super flat on the boards.
Man who loves Final Fantasy 13 and is not allowed to talk about it today.
Stephen Meyerink, Taylor's on the boards.
And, of course, the man with the PR connections that keeps the site going.
This is John McCarroll. I'll be PR coordinator today.
Excellent. All right, so we got games to talk about today, and then a metric ton of news. I would say we have a plethora of news stories. Does everybody agree with me?
No.
We got a gaggle.
A veritable plethora.
A veritable plethora. Jefe, do you know how much a plethora is? El guapo. So who wants to get started with games that they've been playing? Who wants to start?
I'll start.
All right, John, go for it. Talk about a game. It's not an RPG.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to be talking about an adventure game today, and it's a free adventure game for some of you. I have been playing Stacking, which is Double Fine's newest game. Everyone should know Double Fine. They've made the fantastic games like Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, and they just released Costume Quest, the downloadable RPG, a couple months ago. And it came out just this last week, and it's a not point-and-click because you're using a controller, but it's an adventure game. And you play as a Matryoshka doll named Charlie Blackmore. And your family is essentially pushed into service to the evil Baron, and it's up to you to go and save all of your siblings. Gameplay is really interesting in this game. It's more puzzle-oriented than a lot of adventure games. I know that some are like, go here, then go here, then go here. It's a bunch of story. Really Stacking focuses on the puzzles. And what it is somewhat akin to games like the GameCube game Geist, where you could take control of things. Charlie can jump into other Matryoshka dolls and take control of them. And there are, tons of different types. So you can get people that you jump into a fat old woman that can slap people with her glove. Or you get some unique dolls, too, where I got the Pied Piper, and I was on this cruise ship, and I was just taking all of these children away from their parents and running them around the ship for no reason.
Oh, that's delightfully creepy.
Yeah, no, it is. It's used in actually one of the puzzles, which every puzzle in the game has multiple ways for you to solve it, which is really cool. And it actually lists them for you. It's like you solved, for one of the puzzles I did, there was 5 solutions. Like, you did solution 3. Good job. And you can always go back and play them again and see what other kind of solutions that you can make up. But for that puzzle, actually, you're trying to ruin a museum exhibit so that the curator will get really mad. And one of the ways to do pretty much every one of them is you have to jump into one of these Matryoshka dolls. Like, one's a mummy, one's a sarcophagus, and it's the different things in the exhibit. But to do so, you have to do something specific. So me as the Pied Piper, there were a bunch of kids in front of this exhibit. I went and I was like, do-do-do-do-do on my little flute, walked them away, jumped out of the Pied Piper, and jumped into the sarcophagus and walked away. And that got me through that puzzle. The most impressive thing about the game is probably its presentation. The puzzles have been really cool. I have nothing against them. They're a lot of fun. But the presentation is like 1920s old-timey movie. The scenes are in kind of washed-out color, and they have little bits of film on the end, but it's done silent movie style. So they're playing like vaudeville music as they show these scenes with these Matryoshka dolls. And then they cut out and they do it's like, no, Charlie, they show the text on the screen. And it's really cool. It's cute. And the game is just fun. Like, there's The controls wonky. Like they control as you would expect a Matryoshka doll to control, and the camera's really goofy. But I really can't bag on this game because it's just fun.
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. I think we're seeing a lot of XBLA and PlayStation Network games that are trying new things, and I think that's one of the at least one of the more interesting sounding games that I've heard of lately.
Yeah, like I played Costume Quest too, and I actually looked forward to Costume Quest, and I bought Costume Quest the day it came out, and I was a little bit disappointed with it. It was a little bit too. It was like, well, this is just kind of RPG light. There's nothing spectacular about it. There's nothing wrong with it. But, the concept was cute, and it was okay. But when I played Stacking, I was like, this is fantastic. I got it free through PlayStation Plus, but this is totally a game that I would have paid for had I not been a subscriber.
I mean,
is it free on PlayStation Plus right now?
Yes, I think by the time the podcast goes up, it may not be free anymore. So
I hate this PlayStation Plus crap. I'm sorry. I like certain games are on sale, certain games you have access to for like a month. It's needlessly confusing.
No. Here's the thing. It's not if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, it's not like Sega Channel where it's like we're going to give you these games this month.
Oh, okay.
It is. So I've downloaded Stacking. As long as I subscribe to PlayStation Plus, I have Stacking.
Okay.
So because I was subscribed in the time frame that Stacking was available, it's free for me as long as I subscribe. Honestly, it's a little confusing at the beginning, but I feel like I get more value out of my PlayStation Plus subscription than I do out of my Xbox Live subscription. Like, I feel like Xbox Live is like, okay, I get party features and I get, chat stuff and I get peripheral things. But when it comes to actually giving me content, it's like, okay, I get demos a week early. And there's sales every week. Whereas with PlayStation Plus, it's like, okay, what free games do I get this month?
That's true.
And it's here's the thing. It's not like they're like, you get a free copy of this game that no one cares about. It's like you get free copies of good games. Stacking was free day one.
Nice. I think Infamous was free for a week or so.
PlayStation Plus, what it is there are a bunch of full game demos available for PlayStation Plus where it's like, do you want to know what Infamous is like? Here, you have 60 minutes of Infamous time. You can download it, you can play it, and if you decide you want to buy it, you can buy it. But it's like, okay, we're going to give you just essentially what is like having a 1 hour rental of this game. And it's really cool.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's not as bad as I thought it was. Thank you for clearing that up, John. So
no problem.
Zach, I felt like I cut you off.
I feel like back to the actual stacking, restacking and Double Fine and Costume Quest. I feel like they've been doing Double Fine. The Double Fine's been doing a pretty good distillation of the genres that they've been trying to
here's the thing
with these downloadable games, because I mean Costume Quest, it certainly wasn't the best RPG. I mean the problem with doing a kind of distillation of the RPG genre is that it's a genre so kind of built on the complexities of a battle system or the complexities of character management and stat management, and so cutting that stuff out makes it kind of seem a little RPG light as we call it. But I mean I thought it was a lot of fun. What I played of it, I put in a couple hours on a friend's console, but
I like Double Fine, and I like what they're doing with doing downloadable titles and releasing them every couple of months. Because you look at Brutal Legend, and I liked Brutal Legend, but Brutal Legend didn't do well sales-wise. It was a full-fledged $60 game, and it had a boatload of development funds put into it. And I think you look at these Xbox Live, PlayStation Network arcade games, and it's, okay, we can have a smaller development cost, but have still the same distilled quality in these games. I wouldn't pay $60 for Stacking. It's probably only going to be, 6 or 7 hours long. But for a $15 / free game, there you can't go wrong. It's great fun.
Cool. Definitely sounds like interesting. Is that all you got to say about Stacking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only a couple hours into it, so it's I haven't run into any big issues with it. Yeah, there are control issues. Yeah, there are camera issues. But the game is quirky. It's got style. And, if you like adventure games and kind of puzzle-oriented adventure games, you're going to like this.
Cool. I think it's probably a good idea to move on to Zach, and he can talk about one of his games and then the game that him and Stephen have been playing kind of at the same time. So we're going to shoot it on over to the newsman.
Okay, so that game that I alone have been playing is still Dragon Age.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still Dragon Age. I'm now in Redcliffe, an astonishing 15 hours in. Which I will say quickly about Deus Ex. I'm like an hour and a half in, and I feel like I've been playing that game for like 5 hours, just because it's like the stealth oriented gameplay, at least how I've been approaching it. And so I feel like I've just been like slowly creeping along, whereas Dragon Age is like, yep, I looked at my clock and was like, oh well, that's a lot of that game that I have now played, and it's really not even all that much. But anyways, so I'm in Redcliffe now. I've gotten to Rob's infamous zombie fight where the zombies ignore your aggro and go straight for mages. Haven't found that to be too much of a problem, but one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is the difficulty of that fight as it relates to saving all of the townspeople. And basically what I've kind of the conundrum I've found is that Dragon Age as a whole gives you a lot of choice over, what you're going to do in the game, the order in which you attack various objectives, the just generally kind of how you take care of, how you approach your game. And when I'm tasked with defending this village, and I want to save all of the members of the village, but there's no. I mean, maybe it's just not that you're not supposed to be able to save them all. I know that there's like some sort of helmet reward for for saving them, but I feel like there's that I'm not appropriately given that decision. Is there something that I could have done extra, because I excuse me, leading up to the actual attack on the village, you get to go through all of these different kind of dialogue things, like trying to recruit different characters. So I recruited the guy who owns the tavern, and I recruited the elf at the tavern, and I recruited, I found, I told one of the guys about the oil in one of the stores so that we could light the zombies on fire, which only really caused problems because the AI controlled people just ran into the fire when the zombies were there.
Flaming zombies and people in fire. It's not good.
It's so, I mean,
bad combination.
On the one hand, I feel like maybe this is just not something I should be nitpicking about and just continue with my game. But for a game that has so far given me a great deal of control over what I'm able to do, what I can choose to do, I feel like I just don't have this situation I haven't had control over. And to be fair, that's only the first chunk of Redcliffe. I haven't gotten too far into the castle yet.
Was Redcliffe the first area that you went to?
No, I guess I didn't talk about it last time, but I played through the Mage's Circle first.
Yeah, and they kind of want you to do the Mage's Circle first because you get the healing mage win, and she's kind of the win character. No, because you need a healer in that game. You can't chug health potions fast enough at some points, and I did Redcliffe first, and so I kind of chopped my knees off when I first started playing the game. I just didn't even realize that, there's a character over here that I'm probably going to need. So you did the Mage's Tower. I found the Mage's Tower to be extremely tedious. I thought it was cool from a cinematic perspective. You're going into this ethereal realm called the Fade, where
a lot of
all
people
magic
apparently
exists.
hates Fade, but I thought it was pretty cool.
I think it
was interesting. It certainly wasn't, I'd just been kind of getting used to the 4-player party dynamic of, having my rogue and my tank up front, and having my 2 mages in the back, and working all of that out and really getting into the battle system. but then you go into the Fade and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna. I thought the shape-shifting was pretty nifty.
I thought it was interesting, but it kind of felt just too long. Like every time I've played Dragon Age, and I think I've played it through 4 or 5 times now, I get to the Mage's Tower and I'm just like, okay, I sit down, I pour myself a cup of coffee, and I'm like, this is going to be about 3 hours of horrible. But once I get through this, like the rest of the game's awesome. But that's always like the one section of the game where there's always a section in a game that you don't want to play. Like in Demon Souls, it's the Tower of Latria. Like I don't want to be there because Cthulhu is going to come out and skewer my face off. And Dragon Age, it's the Circle Tower. And Final Fantasy 13, it's the whole first 20 hours. Like there's just portions of games that you really don't want to experience. And for me, the Mage's Tower is like right at the
There's
top.
a mod for that.
There's a mod for that.
You can like just completely skip the Fade in the PC version.
Oh god,
Yeah.
I love this. Is why I'm buying Dragon Age. This is why I'm building my new PC and why I'm buying Dragon Age 2 on PC.
This is a total aside, but just because I picked it up on Steam sale before the holidays, everyone talks about Dragon Age, and kind of Neverwinter Nights 2 just never caught on.
No.
Yeah,
like the
meaning to
modding
play
community
that.
for that.
I feel like part of the problem with that is D&D rule set is kind of, I'm not going to say like arcane, but it's a little harder to pick apart than like the Dragon Age rule set, which is kind of like I'd say D&D light is a pretty solid way to describe it. Because you have like it's just very, very streamlined for people who don't know like how like resistances work and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I remember, playing 3rd edition D&D, pen and paper versions, and, making characters that, you go and you're like, okay, I can use this kit and put together these skills, and it's like, okay, I can silently put to sleep anyone within 200 yards.
Yeah. I think Dragon Age is I still really like it. I think it's interesting now that, the first bits of Dragon Age 2 are starting to come out, and I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit about it in news. But just the difference that I see between the combat and Dragon Age 1 where, the mages kind of sit there and they're kind of going, pew, pew, with their little stabs. And now in Dragon Age 2, like, they're frickin' Darth Maul, like, spinning their stabs around and, like, lightning bolts are just flying everywhere. Like, it feels like the spectacle ratio of Dragon Age 2 has gone from, like, a 3 all the way up to 11.
And it's no secret that they are targeting kind of this a more not necessarily console centric, but a wider market.
Yeah.
Like and that's cool, but you get stuff like that when that happens because you want the people who are watching Naruto, they're like, oh my god, that looks like when he does the special move.
I'm a ninja. Just like, but no, in Dragon Age 1, one thing I hate about Dragon Age 1, and this is going to sound really stupid, I hate the mages' robes, and I hate those stupid conehead hats that they wear.
Oh, man. I think that there's also a mod for hats for like not having hats. And the more I need to put hats on my characters to make them not die, the more I'm just like gravitating towards that mod and like trying to find it again.
Well, like, Morrigan's character is such a cool character model, not just because she's showing about as much as you could legally show in an M-rated game without nudity. But then you put a silly hat on her, and it's so, she's just got like this conehead hat that's about 2 feet over her head. It covers her ears. She looks like Dan Aykroyd. It's just awkward. Like the loot in Dragon Age is pretty atrocious. Like some of the every rogue just kind of looks like some pauper. Like we have characters like Ezio in Assassin's Creed who's wearing like this full regalia, just like awesome outfit, and meanwhile in Dragon Age 1 you look like the Beastmaster.
You wear a leather t-shirt.
You wear like a leather t-shirt and maybe a cloth thong. Like that's what you wear. Like and seeing the trailers for Dragon Age 2, like the new mage armor that like Hawk wears when he's a mage, like, oh man, it's got like that samurai like Yojimbo thing going on. It's just the art style difference and the spectacle difference between Dragon Age 1 and 2. Like Dragon Age 1, I love, I got to get my rogue into position, and I'll press to make him go around a bunch of enemies, and he just kind of like gingerly steps over. And now in Dragon Age 2, he like throws down a smoke grenade and like disappears and comes out behind him like Batman, here, and then just starts beating the crap out of someone. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting to see how they took one of the main criticisms and in a very short amount of time they said, okay, you're tired of us throwing grenades at enemies. Okay, how about you throw the grenade up in the air and kick it like Blade? That's kind of cool. I like that.
But yeah, one thing that I did want to bring up is that what was it? Unintended consequences of my choosing the Mage Tower first. And I love when games do this, like when you switch up the route that you choose, like to go through the game. Is now I'm dealing with this situation in Redcliffe, and I don't want to say too much, but basically it involves an exorcism. Since I took the Mage Tower path first, I can now go back to the Mage Tower, get some mages to help me out with this exorcism, so that I don't have to sacrifice one of the characters in the scenario, in the Redcliffe scenario. So,
do you want me to give you the win button for the game right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say the spoiler, but if you side with the so-called evil side of that quest, you get the Blood Mage specialization, and the game's over. The Blood Mage is just like, you get a skill at, I think it's level 12 or 16, called Blood Wound. It paralyzes and does massive damage to every enemy in a radius, and it doesn't have friendly fire.
All right, I'll have to factor that into my.
Just if you think the game's getting too hard, just get that skill, because once I got that, it's like all my problems with the game's difficulty just went away. I literally couldn't die.
They did a really good job with that, actually, like, because they talk about how tempting blood magic can be, and making it so powerful. Yeah. And I think that that's a really cool way of keeping it like within the context of the game. Everyone gets mad if you use it, but it's so powerful you can see why people would turn to it. Because, you could literally just break the game in half. Well,
the game is kind of broken in half, though, because Wynn is all like, I will never have a blood mage, I will never be a blood mage, I hate blood mages, and you can make her a blood mage. No, you can.
The game does a good job of kind of like saying like, ooh, blood mage is evil and stuff. But I feel like there is that mechanical disconnect. Because it's just any other. For me right now, I don't have it, so it seems like just any other spell in the game, just overpowered. And then, there's not going to be any consequences for, actually having, doing whatever. But anyways,
the whole game kind of had that, though, like that disconnect between what you did and what actually happened. Like, not having a reputation kind of like made it a little silly, because I could go into a town and murder all the children and then walk up to some lady's house and she'd be like, "Oh, hey, you're such a hero."
You can't murder children in Dragon Age. What are you talking about?
Well, no, if you go murder random people, or
you can't murder random people. Random people try to murder you, they end up dead.
Yes, but
I get what you're saying, but
renegade actions, you don't get treated like a renegade. And if you do Paragon like actions, you don't get treated like one.
But I think that's
people kept saying how they love that about the game, but it just seemed lazy to me.
But that's one of the things.
Like, in Baldur's Gate, you had sort of a reputation, and if you murdered everyone in town, everyone would try to kill you.
John, get him.
Get him.
No, actually, I agree with him. I hate that in BioWare games. I am so about reputation. Like in Fallout, if you attack someone and I'm talking old school Fallout, say you attack someone in I can't think of any cities off the top of my head, you cannot go back to that city. I'm about reputation, and if I kill someone's wife or someone's husband, and then I go back and talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Well, let's go get a beer at the tavern."
That's true, but you're talking about two different games. You're talking about Fallout, where the original Fallout game had so much freedom that you could kill children in the opening town of the game. If you could just roll right up out of the vault and start killing people. Dragon Age, what I was trying to explain to Stephen was, you can't initiate battle with random NPCs. There are designated NPCs that are, say, pose a threat to you, or it involves some kind of quest where you fight them. So there isn't that overlying freedom to where I think a reputation system has to come into play. But even then, there are instances of that. Like in Orzammar, if you side with one of the dwarves, then the other dwarf sends his troops after you. So it's there. It's not on the level of Fallout. I wouldn't argue that, but I don't think it's necessary because Dragon Age is telling an overall narrative, whereas Fallout, as soon as you get out of the vault, you could just be like, and I'm going to go over here.
I mean, on the one hand, I feel like it's very contained. So like you have that dwarf example. You have pretty much within any specific scenario, choosing to side with one set of people kind of excludes or generally just sets you at odds with the other party. But on the other hand, kind of getting back to what I was going to say, no problem, is the how, being able to bring the mages in, that's something that Alpha Protocol did really well, is that depending on how you approach the different missions, you could, if you just kind of did them in order, Steve Heck or whatever Nolan North's character is like, why'd you take so long to come seek me out, man? Except in a distinctly more awesome and just carries it.
Nathan Drake style way.
Yeah, no, he's not Nathan Drake. He's so awesome. You should play that game.
I like Alpha Protocol, and here's the thing. It seems like people are really split about Alpha Protocol's dialogue system. Some people are like, it's so unrealistic. I like the freedom it gives. I just like the fact that I can make Thornton be whoever I want him to be.
Yeah, it's a good game. I mean, we'll get more into it when we talk about Deus Ex because I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the two. But
yeah, we've kind of been beating a dead horse here with Dragon Age. Is there anything else you got to add about it, Zach?
No, I'm gonna keep playing it, and so I think that hopefully I can finish that before Dragon Age 2. So I've got 2 weeks and 3 more large areas to complete. So we'll see,
and then you got the best part of the whole game, which is the lands meet. That is the best part of Dragon. That is when Dragon Age elevated from, okay, this is a really cool RPG to something that I would go back and I played the whole game through again just to get to the lands meet again.
I'm excited.
It's the best part of the game, and it's that whole self-contained choices and things that you do that impact other areas. And there's so many different outcomes that you can reach. It's great. It's awesome. I don't want to ruin it. Go for it.
All right.
All right.
I guess Deus Ex now. Steven, you beat that, right?
I did. For the first time, one of my good friends for years has been trying to get me to play it. I mean, basically since it came out. And I would always be like, no, I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it. I'd start it. I'd get past the Liberty Island mission, and then I would stop playing it and just get bored. But I sat down and actually said, you know what, Human Revolution looks awesome. I want to play the first one so I can see where they're coming from, because the second one it's not hated, but it's much more simplified than the first one. They kind of stripped a lot of the complexity out of it. And the new one, Human Revolution, they're aiming to make it more like the first one. And, I mean, based on what I've seen, it looks just like that. But so I played the original Deus Ex on the hardest difficulty as a non-lethal stealth character who occasionally used a rocket launcher to blow up robots. And
like you do.
And I found it to be an absolute blast. At first, I do agree with what you said earlier, Zach. The stealth is a little slow at first because you basically have to sneak up behind everybody and whack them in the head with the baton. And for the first, I'd say 4 or 5 hours, that is pretty much what that's all you can do. I mean, you can shoot them with the crossbow, but then they turn around, they see you, and they all gun you down.
Quick aside, and I want you to continue, but any kind of game that's you can do stealth or you can shoot people. I find myself where I play as the stealth character for about 6.5 minutes, and then I just start murdering people.
I think that tells us very much about you, John.
Yes. Well, see, the stealth thing I occasionally broke from. My main goal was to play it as totally non-lethal. I mean, there are a handful of characters you have to kill. The game requires you to kill them, or you can run away from them. But there's a few characters where it's scripted, where you have to. There's no way to end the fight but to kill them. Like if you try to hit them with non-lethal weapons, like a shield just pops up, and they're like, "Oh, you can't stop me." But I think that's what added the most to the experience, because I really felt, as the game went on and you get more augmentations, I really felt like a super spy. Like, it was awesome. Like, I felt like my guy could run in and just totally just knock over an entire facility, like a high security facility. And you get, I went with the mods. I got one that let me see through walls with infrared. I got one that muffled my footsteps totally. So by the time I got the muffled footsteps, you can run up to somebody and then whack them in the head and knock them out. And then if you jack up your stat in the crossbow, you can basically get it to the point where you can one-shot people with the tranquilizer darts. So by the end, literally, I can become totally invisible, I can muffle my footsteps, and I can see through walls.
See, that seems pretty cool. I'm just having trouble because, like, I just am so bad at this game.
Zach's trying to kill people with a stick and a rock. Meanwhile,
I have a knife. I have a knife. I also have trouble with inventory management.
I just killed a 6,000-pound tiger with a stick and a rock.
Actually, the inventory was super annoying.
Yeah, I just have so much stuff, and I want it all.
See, at first I kind of held on to everything, and then after a while you sort of realize what you're not going to take with you. Like, I used a mod called Shifter, which just basically tweaks the game to fix a few bugs and basically make it a little bit more playable. And I mean, it got to the point where, like, I would take down 6 guys in a room, and then I'd have to go to my inventory and drop 6 pistols out of my inventory because I had a pistol basically to shoot landmines off walls. I never used it to shoot another human being. And
it's a noble effort.
Yes. And the cool part is the game here and there actually recognizes you for not killing people. Like, your brother in the game is very much against the senseless killing. And so, I mean, people will recognize, that you're not running around and slaughtering everybody, and that, you broke in quietly, you hacked the computer, and you got out, and nobody was hurt. I mean, other than the people you beat in the head with the stick.
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, getting back to what I was saying about Dragon Age and how, like, it seemed like certain decisions mattered, and, like, my not being able to save everyone in the town was just, like, a minor setback. In the first, I think when you first go into the UNATCO headquarters right after the Liberty Island mission, I accidentally went into women's bathroom first, and the director berated me, and it was like, that's not something that reflects well on our organization. And I was just like, well, all right, then. So funny. Like, that is, it seems like like they were thinking so far in
ahead of
future.
What other games were.
That's my favorite part about the game is that, like, you can really see that they are just, like, years ahead of the curve.
And that's why I'm so excited about Human Revolution, because I honestly felt while I was playing Deus Ex, I mean, the AI is not amazing. I mean, you can pretty much walk up. Let's say you're standing parallel with a guy, you can sidle up to him, and as long as you basically stay crouched, he won't see you.
Yeah.
And you can knock out the 6 guys around him, and he won't even bat an eyelash. So the game, I think it's Unreal Engine 1. The game is definitely, like, the ideas in the game are so far ahead of their time and of the technology that Human Revolution is taking those ideas, and it just looks like it's going to be amazing. Just because it's so high concept that
let's temper our expectations just a little bit. It's really easy to make a good looking trailer. I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
I want to point out. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but I found the first 20 minutes, I found 20 minutes of gameplay that have been pulled off the internet, and what I saw, it looks like Deus Ex.
I really hope so. I really hope that turns out to be the surprise that, like, Batman Arkham Asylum was. Like, it just kind of comes out of left field. Everybody's a little, maybe it'll be good, and then it's just like, holy crap, this is great. Like, that would be really cool.
Actually,
it's the Rainbow Six Vegas guys doing it, right?
Really?
It's Eidos
Montreal, yeah. Which Ubisoft Montreal is the guys who do
Rainbow Six.
Six.
Wow. I could have sworn that it was Rainbow Six Vegas guys. I must have read that in a preview somewhere.
They're completely different companies.
Yeah, no, you must be right.
No, it's a lot of the guys who are left over from Ion Storm. They're actually also working on the other Ion Storm franchise, Thief.
That's right. The new Thief that they announced, like, years ago, and they're finally starting to work on it again.
Yeah.
Speaking of old Thief, that is another game that I bought on Steam, and it seems a lot like Deus Ex in the sort of, like, thing.
It's Ion Storm.
Maybe not Thief 1, but I think Deadly Shadows? Is that the most recent Thief?
Deadly Shadows is the most recent one. Yeah, Dark Project is the one that everyone is, like, super in love with.
Okay.
It's Ion Storm. It's
true.
Yeah.
They tried to do things that no one else was doing, and, like, the whole time you're playing Deus Ex, it's like somebody said, hey, Blade Runner was a really cool movie. What if we made a game where you could be anybody in Blade Runner?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Wait. Can you be the guy who grows eyes?
You cannot.
Oh,
creepy.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm really kind of looking forward to, and what we've been kind of getting at, is that Deus Ex: Human Revolution kind of looks like what Deus Ex could have been had it been made now. And I mean, my biggest pet peeves with Deus Ex 1 are the aiming system, which is getting back to Alpha Protocol, very similar. It's that sort of like you have to like hold over a character.
Yeah, you have to
get the aim in.
You have to sit still.
Yeah, sitting still is. I mean, it seems it's very archaic, and granted, that's kind of what they had to do for the time, and
On the other hand, though, it's based on your stats. So once you've gotten your stats higher in certain varieties of weapons, basically with the crossbow, once I maxed it out, you basically point it at them and you're instantly dead on. So
I mean, that's the same sort of thing. Like Alpha Protocol, once you get your pistol stat all the way up, it takes like a second to like zoom in properly, and then you can just instantly like headshot. And
I still hate that kind of stuff. It goes back to the Mass Effect 1 argument. I hated it in Mass Effect 1. I understand that the game
it wasn't even like that. Now that I've kind of like all
it's like the thing is it's not like the crosshair is on something and you shoot at it and the bullet goes somewhere else. It's just it simulates that your character is a newbie with that kind of weapon.
Okay.
It takes him a second to get a beat on it, but wherever your crosshair is, the radius of it, that's where the bullet's going to go.
I mean, I understand.
As you aim over the character, the crosshair slowly, moves in.
I understand it, and I understand the purpose that it has in a game. It's just I can't help the fact that it creates a disconnect for me. I play a lot of shooters, and if I'm playing Left 4 Dead, and all of a sudden my bullets started missing, I would start getting irritated.
No.
So.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's the opposite of what you see in most first-person shooters. In most of these RPG shooters like this, it's stop and aim, and the more that you aim, the more accurate that you get. Whereas in most shooters, it's fire, but the more that you fire, the less accurate you get.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But getting back to the one of the things that I'm not looking forward to with this kind of modernization is the hacking. Which Stephen, in your preview, you mentioned that it's minigame based. I really like the multi-tools, and the lockpicks are really elegant. A really elegant solution to that in Deus Ex.
I think what they were trying to get at with the minigames is they wanted to make it more skill-based, because it's skill-based in the first one only insofar as you're limited by a resource. Mm-hmm. So, I'm better with hacking, so I need fewer multi-tools to hack this door.
I mean, it depends on how they end up actually pulling it off, but if it's anything like Alpha Protocol, like Alpha Protocol's hacking minigame was, it's just going to be really kind of painful.
Are we expecting Human Revolution before the fall? I'm not.
It was delayed till next fiscal year, so sometime after April.
Yeah. And I'm... See, they haven't said anything about it, but I mean, they seem like they were so close to having that thing, shipping, that I feel like they might just be polishing it or what.
Yeah, it feels a lot, to bring up the point again, it felt a lot like the delay of Arkham Asylum, where we got within like 6 weeks of release, and then they were like, we need 3 more months to polish this thing. And I'm sitting there going, go for it. And I think that they would be doing themselves a huge disservice to release that game in the fall. It's kind of the revival of an old IP. I think you want to give that game as much room as possible. I'd say release that thing maybe a month after L.A. Noire comes out in May, because I think L.A. Noire is going to be the big game of May. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people. That's going to be this year's Red Dead. It's a good idea.
That's by Rockstar, right?
Yeah. That's a game you don't want to get anywhere near. And we look at what happened to Alan Wake releasing day and date with Red Dead, and it got and I feel bad for those guys, but Red Dead moved on to their release window, so there wasn't a lot they could do. But I think you want to get Deus Ex probably like a June or July release. I think you want to give it some room, you want to put some muscle behind it, but
definitely.
Yeah. So is that it for Deus Ex?
I think so. I mean, we've kind of
for the time being.
All right, for the time being. I'm probably going to play it a little bit at some point. I've got some games that I'm playing right now. So
actually, can I make one more point about that game?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
The endings. There's a lot of choice in the game. Your ending is completely determined by what you choose to do in the last area. It's basically press this button or go press that button, and you'll get the different endings.
I hate those kind of endings.
That's the only fault I found with it. And the developers have said of Human Revolution that they want that to not be the case. in Human Revolution. But I want to point out that the endings are awesome in the original Deus Ex. None of them is everything went back to normal, or everything is happy. Every single ending is ambiguous and could mean any number of things. And so few games do that I just think it was awesome.
I prefer the 6 ending in 999.
Oh, God. I was going to say,
I'm still working on it.
Can we have the ending where there's a giant flash of light, and then 500 years in the future, there's a garden over Midgar, and we're all very confused as to what happened? We're all just like, wait, did everyone die?
And then they bring out a movie, and it doesn't make sense.
It was just an excuse to hear One Winged Angel and let Cloud do Omni Slash again. That's all it was.
But it was fun to watch.
It was fun, but it was stupid.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
All right. I got games to talk about.
What do you want to talk about then, Rob?
Phoenix Wright. So I'm playing the original Phoenix Wright on DS right now, which is kind of cool in a couple of ways, because I'm going from the latest Ace Attorney release, which was Miles Edgeworth, and now I'm going back to the first one, and you see a lot of the characters pop up again. It's really cool to see them in their original context, seeing Dick Gumshoe for the first time, and to see Miles Edgeworth. And I've read a little bit ahead as to what happens in the first Ace Attorney game. I won't do any spoilers. But Miles Edgeworth is a complete dick at the beginning of the game, and it's kind of like the contrast between him in Ace Attorney Investigations, where he was very much like seeking out the truth and he didn't want to make false accusations, and him in the original Phoenix Wright just being like, I don't really care, I'm going to get a conviction, I don't really care if the guy's guilty or not, I'm just going to do it. And I understand that you see his character develop as you go, but that's really cool. I'm liking that aspect of it. The adventure game logic it was fine for the first 2 cases. I'm at the very end of the 3rd case right now. And the adventure game logic is really starting to get to me, like, oh, I need to go get a special Steel Samurai card to get this one witness to give me testimony. But in order to get that card, I have to go over here and I have to trade a bottle for a milk dud. And then I have to go over here and I had to do this and I had to do that. And it's just like, it's just horrible. Like
it's classic adventure game. You have to click on everything and find everything.
Right. And then John and I were talking about this in the pre-show warm-up. When you get to the actual testimony, when you get into the courtroom, that's when the game becomes awesome. The game becomes awesome when you get in the courtroom and you're taking apart statements. You have all the information available to you, so you don't run into the problems in the Ace Attorney in Miles Edgeworth, where you weren't exactly sure if you had all the pieces of information. You weren't sure what was a contradiction. It's all there for you. There were a couple times, and I think this is showing the development of the series, where at one point I had to press the character. You're in the middle of them giving their testimony. You're asking them questions to try to get more information. And so you press them on their 5th statement, but then that means that then you could go back and press them on their 3rd statement, which then meant that you could present something at the 4th statement. And I didn't run into any of those kind of problems in Miles Edgeworth, and so I think that shows the natural development of the series, like where it's gone.
Miles Edgeworth is the easiest of the games, and even through Apollo Justice, you see some of those. They get less. There are a lot of them in the first game, but it's still, you need to press everything, and then when you get a press statement, you need to press everything again.
Yeah, and that's a little awkward, but I'm definitely enjoying the game. I'm playing it for the story. I want to see how Edgeworth develops as a character. I find Edgeworth to be a much more interesting character than Phoenix Wright. Now, maybe that's because I've spent a whole game with his character, and now I'm seeing him again. But Phoenix Wright's character is kind of boring to me, but I really think Miles Edgeworth is a cool character.
I don't want to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
Honestly, Phoenix Wright is the most interesting character in the game that's not even about him. Like, in Apollo Justice, which takes place 7 years after the other 3 games, he is by far the most interesting character.
Right. And I really like him as a character. That being said, one thing that I wanted to make mention of in the show, which is a little awkward, so you have Maya and Mia, who are part of the Fae family, and of course, this being a Japanese game, they're mediums. They can,
Oh, I know where you're going.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this one.
No. It gets even worse.
I don't see how it could, John.
No, it gets No, not in that game, but in the following two games, it gets even worse.
Okay, so you have a character who is a spirit medium. Her sister is killed. Spoiler. And at one point, this 17-year-old girl channel her sister. Now, this being a Japanese role-playing game, you can probably see where this is going right now. And the 17-year-old girl becomes her sister, and the enormous boobs follow.
Okay,
and I'm just it's very jarring, and it's very Japanese, and it's just really driving me nuts. Like, it's just weird. So, I mean, I'm liking Phoenix Wright, and I'll probably get through it. I mean, it's one of the only games that I'm playing right now. I'm trying to free up as much time as I can before Dragon Age 2. So I definitely like it, but I'm playing it for the story, and the adventure game stuff is really starting to get to me. I'm just sitting there like I did with the last couple cases in Miles Edgeworth. I've got the game FAQ open. If I start getting confused or if I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to say at any given point, I just look it up. I really don't.
Yeah, and you know what? I did the same thing as well. It's like once you get to case 4, and it's like, okay, this investigation segment is 3 hours long. Who do I talk to? Where do I go so that I can get out of this and get back to the courtroom? And I hear you.
Yep. So that's the first game I've been playing. The second game I've been playing, which will lead us hopefully directly into news, upon the announcement of Dark Souls, I started to play Demon Souls again.
Woohoo!
Yep, exactly. I sat down and I started playing again. First off, I completely screwed myself by picking a thief, who's probably the worst starting character you can pick because you start out with that little tiny dagger that you literally have to be right on top of something to attack it. So I screwed myself there. Demon Souls, I still love the game, and I don't want Stephen to think that I've suddenly become a hater. Demon Souls has some problems that I really want to see ironed out with Dark Souls. Number one is the camera. You constantly have to babysit that camera. For fans that don't know, you're basically controlling a camera where you target a character and they become the center of the camera, and so you move around with them. You're having these intense sword fights with demons and leprechauns and just nasty things. And if the character runs straight at you and you run straight at the character, the camera tends to spaz out a little bit. I got killed twice in the opening character just in the opening chapter because a character would jump at me, an enemy would jump out at me, and I would move, and then the camera would swing, so suddenly my left became my forward, and I fell down a flight of stairs and killed myself. So that started.
Learn how to walk.
Well, yeah, I clearly forgot how to walk, and that started to annoy me. Just a little bit, but it's not terrible. That was annoying me, and then more importantly is a bigger issue that's going on right now with Demon Souls. Demon Souls has this wonderful mechanic of other players being able to invade your game. They're called Black Phantoms. They're able to invade your game, and the other players can try to hunt you down and kill you so that they can regain their body in their game. So it's kind of
the satisfaction of totally murdering you.
It seems like everybody in Demon Souls now, I mean, the game's been out for almost, a year and a half now in America. It seems like everybody who's on it now is just playing as Black Phantoms, and you really can't go more than 5 minutes in your own body form without having one invade your game. And they're so stupidly overpowered. Like, I had one Black Phantom who I ran up to, and I hit him for 1 damage. And we both just kind of looked at each other, and I think he just took pity on me and just decided he was going to leave me alone. Like, there was no sport in killing me. It's like Batman stomping a kitten to death. Like, there was no point. And that sort of thing, I think the Black Phantoms idea is a great idea, but I don't think it really works.
I think it works, but they have to, limit it more. Like on Diablo 2, they reset the ladders every couple of months because it just gets to the point where people on top are going to stay on top forever.
Right. And
the thing is, with Demon Souls having a level cap, I mean, you can get people that are level 600.
Yeah.
And so if he's level 600, no matter how good your stats are, no matter how skilled you are, if you get hit once, you're dead. I mean, if he punches you while you have your shield up, he's going to hit you and utterly destroy you.
Yeah. And
I love the Black Phantoms because, I mean, back when I played it, nobody was, people were jacked up. But if somebody invaded my game, I mean, it was a genuine, it was exciting because it's like, oh, where's this guy going to show up? I want to drop his ass.
Yeah, and I think it's very exciting. But don't you agree that there's still one problem with the Black Phantoms, though, is that since you have essentially an endless supply of health items at that point when you start invading each other's worlds. You both end up coming up and hitting each other and then backing off and taking health items again and then going up and like attacking each other a couple more times. And it's just, I would say if anything, they need to eliminate the health item use when a Black Phantom comes into your world or something like that, because it creates this Mexican standoff where you can't kill each other.
I think what they could do, because the health item thing I don't necessarily mind, because, I mean, you have to be willing to use your health items to survive that.
Yeah, but if you have like 90 health items, why do you care?
Well, you can only carry 9.
What?
You can only carry 9, I'm pretty sure.
No.
It's been a while.
The herbs, you can carry, I mean, as many as you can in your weight, and I usually had like 40 full moon grass and 35 half moon grass. I mean, I was basically a veritable Cheech and Chong, like just walking around with herbs everywhere, and you couldn't kill me.
See, usually when I fought other people, I didn't even get close to them. I just blasted them with magic from far away.
No, okay. I mean, I think it's a great idea.
I do agree with what you're saying, is that at this point now, it's been out for so long that people who are really into it basically are going to break the Black Phantom thing. And I think they can fix all of that if they basically just institute some sort of, you have to be within 10 levels of this guy to join his game.
Yeah, and I thought that existed in Demon's Souls, but I have not seen it as of late. Maybe they changed it, but that's bothering me a little bit. So I think Demon's Souls is a great game. I definitely suggest that people pick it up because, as we move on to news...
Dark Souls.
Yay! Formerly called Dark Rim. Thank God they changed that name. Formerly called Dark Race. Thank God they changed that name.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
So basically, we'll just break it down. It's bigger, it's better, and it's going to be awesome.
And it's uncut. So Dark Souls, formerly known as Project Dark, is From Software's new game. It's not exactly a sequel. There are a lot of it's kind of confusing because like they use the whole Souls name. I mean, like, I think it's fair. There are a lot of articles that I've been reading that say like, oh, the sequel to Demon's Souls. It's not, not exactly, but so there's been a whole bunch of details that came out, as well as a trailer, which was so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And so basically, I'm just gonna go through kind of like point by point very quickly, and then we can discuss. Dark Souls is going to have a seamless world, so there won't be a nexus. There may be a nexus, or not, probably not, because it's not Boletaria anymore. Whatever. But there won't be a hub from which you go to, like various, like waypoints and teleport everywhere. I don't know. But yeah, so it's going to be one giant world. And apparently it's going to be, they're touting that sort of thing where you can, like if you see some, like big castle off in the distance, you can go to it, which, reasonably speaking, we'll see what happens. But it, if they can actually deliver on that, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I have flashbacks to Hideo Kojima talking about the jungles of Metal Gear Solid 3, and I love Metal Gear Solid 3, but those big jungles that he was talking about, they became rooms.
Yeah, they were jungle corridors.
Which is fine. I mean, it was still awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of an evolution thing. When I was at E3 this last year, they were talking to Square, and it was hitting about Dungeon Siege. And they said the same thing. They're like, okay, say you're on this high platform and you see something down there. That's part of the environment you can get down there. And I think more we're getting to the point where that's something that's actually feasible.
Yeah.
But I still don't know about, okay, I can see anything and get to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be cool. I like what I hear so far. Keep going, Zach.
Okay. Apparently Demon's Souls took about 30 to 40 hours to complete. They're looking to almost double that number for about 60 hours.
Love it.
Yep. There's 100 different types of enemies, or more than 100 different types of enemies, whereas Demon's Souls had 30.
Love it.
More types of weapons, magic, and armor.
Me too.
Where which is nice, if not only for variety, but also for gameplay, because apparently the weapons are going to behave differently. So you might you get the thing where you might enjoy, you might like the fighting style of one weapon, which is weaker than another weapon, but you'll be better with that weapon. There's some new magic, and one of the big kind of interesting magic spell that they revealed is the ability to turn yourself into a vase, which sounds goofy, but if you consider that they're like the whole Black Phantom thing, and ambushing characters is going to be a slightly larger emphasis, it seems, in this game, then like you might that's the sort of thing where like, oh, I'll just kind of hide over in this group of vases here.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like deceit in my video games. I like it.
Granted, now everyone's just going to break all the vases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm back.
He's back.
Oh, all right,
He
Stephen.
disappeared? I didn't realize he disappeared. All right.
I didn't even know you were.
I did, and it made me sad because I was really into this discussion.
Oh, well.
We talked about vases.
We talked about vases and being able to turn into them.
The vase spell.
Yes.
Vase. Everything that I've heard about Dark Souls has me super, super excited. Now, one thing I want to ask Stephen, and I was thinking about this the other day. One of my favorite experiences in Demon Souls was, asking for help, asking for other people to come into my game and, take out really tough monsters. These guys who were just stupidly overpowered, these like good Samaritans that were coming around helping me. But it also made it a real pain in the butt if ever I wanted to help anybody else. I had a friend of mine, she got Demon Souls, and we tried to like organize me being able to go and help her, and it was just an absolute pain, like to try to get me into her game. Do we want the ambiguity to stay, which I think adds some things, or do we want to make it easier for like Stephen and I to play Demon Souls together? Like I can't decide which way I would want them to go.
I honestly want them to keep it because if they don't, then it becomes like every other co-op action RPG.
Yeah,
I would appreciate that because I really enjoy the gameplay of Demon Souls. But I mean, I was able to play with my best friend. We would say, okay, let's go to this room. I'm going to drop my blue gem, in this corner where no one goes, join my game. And that's what we did. And we got through, 8 or 9 levels that way.
Yeah.
And I think part of the mystique of Demon Souls and the reason it's so cool is because there's so much depth to find in it. Like, my friend got it yesterday after I, annoyed him about it for a good 2 weeks. And the thing is, I'm like, oh yeah, go here and find this item. And, it reminds me of playing games when I was younger and, FAQs didn't exist and they weren't as plentiful. Where, I mean, you could certainly find that info, but part of Demon Souls was so much fun was because I'd be playing with random people and just find these, like, secret areas. And I'd find these crazy items that just totally changed up how I did things. And yeah. I think if they get rid of the blue gems, that would kind of suck. On the other hand, they could create a system where you can still do it randomly, but they can make it easier for someone to locate you specifically.
Yeah, like some of the guys that I met playing Demon Souls, it would have been cool to have been able to see them again and to play with them again and help them out. So I think maybe like a favorites option, like if Stephen and I find each other in Dark Souls, then we can favorite each other, and that way we know like when we're specifically supposed to go after each other and help each other. I think that would be kind of cool. But so far, just everything I've heard about Dark Souls, I am very, very excited. And they put a release date on it. They're saying 2011.
Winter 2011, I believe.
Yep, in both regions.
Really?
So,
okay.
It's going to be a good Christmas and or month after Christmas.
Oh man, I have to write my thesis. I have to pick fall or spring semester, and I think that it's going to have to be like I'm going to have to just cut out games for a while.
No, you won't.
Between
not a big
Mass
fan
Effect,
of
Skyrim, Dark Souls,
Uncharted 3,
plus anything else that isn't an RPG.
Oh, one thing about Dark Souls that does disappoint me: no dedicated servers.
Yeah, so that's
like
actually
that.
something. Yeah, so there are no dedicated servers, which means that there's not going to be a world tendency. Or rather an online world tendency, so, I guess, who is it? Namco Bandai is publishing, so they can't go in and, change, do what Atlas has been doing for, Valentine's Day and Halloween and, change the world tendency to pure white or pure black.
Yeah, Halloween, they just made it so the game hated you.
Yeah.
it was pretty funny, though.
Oh my god.
I really like that sort of thing, just because it kind of, it gets everyone back into the game for a little bit, so... we'll see what they do. They said that there's no plans, obviously since they're developing the game now, no plans for downloadable content, but they haven't ruled it out. So, we'll see how the game, comes along. It looks pretty. It looks really pretty. It
has that dark Western fantasy art style too.
Yeah, the dude's using a head as a lantern in the trailer.
I missed that. I got checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to more environmental puzzles. Like, there seems to be an element of, like, environment puzzles, and I've always liked those kind of things. Like, I've loved them in the God of War games. Like, I just really like that, having interaction with the environment. So.
Yeah, another thing that kind of came out was that the way that they're going to be building the levels does, more than just puzzles will allow you to kind of, like, in the trailer, there's, one of the characters, like, jumping down onto a larger enemy, like, from above and, like, plunging his sword into, like, its neck and stuff like that. So it seems like it might be a little bit more,
a little bit more awesomer.
Yeah, a little bit more awesome. It's like action based, I'd say,
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Do you guys think that maybe they're getting rid of the world tendency and the dedicated servers just because basically with the original Demon Souls, they have to kind of babysit it. And, like, they keep talking about when they might shut down the servers.
True. I mean, like,
they don't want that to happen with Dark Souls.
It's nice that, that won't need to be a concern. And, it seems like that they're going to be, it seems like this is going to be a replacement for Demon Souls. Certainly not in the history of gaming, but for, what people are playing. So I think it's nice that, like, they're creating something a little bit more open-ended, but at the same time you do lose out on those kind of larger.
I like it.
Yeah. So let's get into the rest of the news because, there's a lot of it. I'm going to go chronologically, from January 26th until today. We've got some Dream Drop distance up in here.
I'm going to go slip my wrists in the corner. I'll be right back.
Oh, don't say that. That sounds so good. But yeah, so there's a couple of details. I'll just go over them briefly. Action-based gameplay. You can play.
Well, duh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
No, that's not a well, duh. You look at Recoded, and Recoded had a fair chunk of different style gameplay,
and nobody liked it except for Steven.
Actually, the turn-based segments that were almost akin to Mario and Luigi were quite fun.
I mean, well, what they're kind of, this is all kind of, a lot of it's coming out from how Nomura suggested, like how we kind of dissect the name Dream Drop Distance. And so the drop, like what we've kind of speculated in the past, you might get like kind of what almost reminds me of like a Kid Icarus or like a Rez or like Panzer Dragoon. You could be like falling down, which is like the drop, and kind of like attacking people. I don't know. There's stuff. It's on the site. One thing is that it's about Sora and Riku as they go through their, and this is not my words, Mark of Mastery test to become Keyblade Masters. And so that's apparently, a big part of the game. Not all of it though. So, you'll switch between Sora and Riku. They have different bosses. There's other stuff. I don't know.
Moving on.
Moving on. Let's see. We got what do we got? We got Tales of Xillia.
Oh gosh, I've been muted.
What?
I've been talking, and I was like, why is everybody ignoring me?
I was wondering that. I was like, shouldn't he be defending Kingdom Hearts right now?
I said that Recoded was pretty fun, but it wasn't terrible. But it wasn't great by any means. And I said that I think Dream Drop Distance has a ridiculous title, but despite all the disdain, I still am looking forward to it.
Yep, you will still buy it because you're a sheep.
And the Mark of Mastery exam is something from Birth by Sleep.
Cool.
Go buy your Dragon Age westernized, streamlined.
Any fan gets that reference, you are my hero. Moving on.
Yeah, Tales of Xillia. Is it? I think it's Xillia.
Xillia?
Xillia.
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 It's like
Xillia.
wise.
There's, if you want.
Did you really? Oh, like that! I want to punch Rob in the face now.
Excellent. How much hate mail are you going to get?
If you want to take a look at the article that Liz wrote, there's some details on the characters. I'm not going to go into their various heights and stuff.
What's their blood types? Blood types. That's important to the Japanese.
Sure. I know.
I love how Barrett is like 5'6" in Final Fantasy. He's like 5'6", $180.
But yeah, so there's some details on the characters. There's details on the double raid linear motion battle system.
I think they're just having fun with that now.
Yeah,
they're just like, this one's called Arcs of Limbs.
I'm not. It's confusing, but if you want to read it, you should. And we have screenshots for that. Artinelico. I don't even know how you say this name.
Koga of Koga something of RCL.
L of RCL. I saw Kim is playing that. Is she playing that for review?
Yeah, she is playing that for review.
Cool. So that game.
We actually probably by the time that this podcast goes live, her hands-on preview will be up.
Yeah, so check that out, people. And so that's coming out March 15th in North America, and there's a premium bundle thingy, which is going to have like a premium box and a hardcover art book and a soundtrack. But it is rated M, so kids, get your parents to buy it for you or something.
Are you going to have to get your mother to buy it for you?
I am older than 17, sir.
Can you drive a car?
I can drive a car if my dad or mom or anyone over the age of 21, actually, now that I think about it, is in the passenger seat. I have a learning permit. It's a thing. Don't hate. Don't hate.
He's going to make us feel old, Rob.
I know.
Oh, man.
Steven's young, too, for that matter.
I mean, I'm only like 2 years younger than you, 2 or 3.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
You're 26, really? Oh, I'm 23.
Well, there you go.
And I'm 20. Yeah. It's like generations. Except not.
Yeah, except for Zach refers to old Nintendo when he's talking about N64.
Hey, no, I had an SNES. I had an SNES.
Oh, that's old Nintendo.
Sure, it's old enough. I played that Zelda game on the SNES.
Oh my god, I hate you.
Look,
I did that.
Get this young whippersnapper off the show.
Look, you know what? Have any of you played anything on an Amiga or a Commodore 64?
Yes, actually I have.
I have not. I've seen one.
Okay, news.
Yeah, news. Let's see. So there's now actually like a lot of news. So I'm just gonna blow through it real quick.
Wait, let's do a not blow through of Tales of Grace's F.
Oh, right. That's a game. That is definitely a game.
Yes, that's a game, and a game that we are getting in North America.
True.
Yes.
And
I'm like stupid huge Tales fan, and I'm so glad they're releasing that here.
So I had someone email me about a petition that they want to. They said in the petition they want me to post about to Namco Bandai that they want Tales of Grace's F for Wii in Europe, and that didn't make sense to me because Tales of Grace's F isn't for Wii. Tales of Grace's is.
Yeah, people have been confusing that quite a bit. Tales of Grace's is the original glitchy, broken version of the game. Tales of Grace's F is the version they finished for PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a game. That is definitely a Tales game.
That's a game.
We have an import review on the site and a gallery.
Yes,
so
we do, and that's a review that we got a lot of hate mail for because Ashton does not like some of the basic tenets of JRPGs. But you know what? I am still incredibly stoked for Tales of Grace's. It's one of those things where I know that it's going to have a generic story and characters that are fairly well slotted into different kind of anime stereotypes.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
I'm going to rip that sound out of the podcast and make it my text message sound.
Was it really that bad?
Every time Rob texts me, it's going to be...
It was actually really, really good. Like, really, like, so terrible that it was good.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to it.
Me too. Yeah, so it's a game. It's Tales of Grace's F is the PS3 edition. It has all of like the new costumes and content, and it came out in Japan in December. So we will find out more about that hopefully soon.
Yeah, no release date.
Yeah, I mean, so there's 3 Tales games kind of coming out in the near future.
Cool.
So we've got Zillia, Grace's F, and the 3DS Abyss game. So Tales of
Yeah, which we probably won't see 3DS Abyss if my guess is correct.
I'm really hoping, and I don't want your guess to be wrong because it's you. I just wanted you to be wrong because that's my favorite Tales game.
Yeah, no, me too. I love Tales of the Abyss, but I really don't think, based on Namco Bandai Games America, it's knowing kind of their release schedule, and unless they can literally just rip the translation from the PS2 version and stick it in to the DS version, I don't see them spending like money to localize that game.
They could do that though, couldn't they? Because they're not really adding anything to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's being added. What's whatever. Like I wouldn't hold my breath though.
The only reason I think it's a smart idea for them is because when the 3DS comes out, they always claim they're going to be RPGs at launch, but why not release a Tales game on a platform that's going to sell a bajillion copies when there isn't a whole lot of other stuff? And then it will sell well, just like Symphonia did on GameCube, because there was like nothing else on GameCube.
Yeah, I hear. I'm actually, speaking of DS games that are Tales, as long as they can actually do the battle system correctly, because I was playing Tales of the Tempest, and that game is awful. It's awful.
The other two on DS though are really good. Tales of Innocence and Tales of Hearts.
Yeah, well, I got Tales of the Tempest for like $6 from PlayAsia, and that should have been a tip off to me.
News, perhaps news. We've got that. Well, that's pretty big news. But we've got more news. We've got Dragon Age 2 is getting a demo. That's some news.
Yeah, we're gonna have to decide if we want to record a show after the demo or just wait until the game comes out, because it might be.
See, cool here is the deal. Is that the demo is coming out February 23rd, I believe. February 22nd.
I think 22nd. Yeah.
Yes, the 22nd of February. And they had like a little like promotion going where if you worked at GameStop, you would get like a
not anymore.
Oh yeah, no. Especially in light of the Crysis 2 beta leak, which was terrible. For Crytek, I guess. But yeah, so I'm assuming that was to combat piracy, because the second that one, like kind of less than morally, I don't know where I was going with that sentence. Where
one morally corrupt individual.
Yes, one
less morally corrupt individual.
Have you been to a GameStop before?
Yeah, good lord.
I'm not going to judge.
Didn't you work in a Gamestop?
For 4 years.
Oh boy.
Where's that picture of you with the shrink wrap on your head?
Oh, it's the one from yours.
I haven't seen this. I need to see it.
There's a picture on my Facebook of when I worked at a GameStop and I used our shrink wrap machine to shrink wrap my head.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah. So there will So getting back to Dragon Age 2, there will be a demo February 22nd. It'll cover the prologue and let you choose a class and take you through Kirkwall. And
that's gonna be really, really cool to play. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna download the PS3 version. I'm gonna play that, and then I'm gonna download it for my PC.
I'm gonna do
so
that.
You kind of get to see, because I'm building my new PC anyway. So I'm probably gonna buy it for PC, but it's just gonna be interesting to see, which version do you gravitate toward. So I'm expecting it's going to be PC because it looks exactly like Dragon Age 1, but it's very interesting.
What I'm hoping that they'll do, and BioWare hasn't had a good track record of this, is putting in a controller support for the game. Because, they have, they already have the interface on the Xbox and on the PS3, so, it wouldn't be too hard to throw in. But
I'll have to check. I just did a fresh install of Mass Effect 2, and I've got a 3.
Don't believe it does. I'm not sure. The last I remember hearing is that it does not support control.
Because Mass Effect 2,
yeah,
I don't know, but with all the games for Windows stuff, and that even though that I know how that's a big deal for developers because it makes things 10 times more complicated.
I didn't even realize. I remember that BioShock 2 had problems porting over the controls, so they never.
Really, BioShock?
Yeah. It's weird because the PC version does not have controller support, and it's a Games for Windows Live title.
It should be required to, at least for the I've got a wired Xbox 360 controller that just never gets unplugged from my PC.
Same.
And that's really weird because as far as I know, that was a requirement for Games for Windows Live.
I hear typing. Somebody's looking for it. So it'll just be interesting to play Dragon Age 2 on the console and to play the PC and just see how the two compare.
I just total aside when Zach was talking about how he said you'd be able to see the prologue and create your character, I was thinking, man, that if you were just able to do that, no gameplay, I'd be like, that was like the quote playable demo unquote of Golden Sun DS at the last E3, which I don't remember if it was the last E3. No, I'm sorry, the E3 2 years ago, where they were like, yeah, we have a playable demo of Golden Sun DS. And literally, it shows you a bunch of story and gives you control. You walk across a bridge, and the demo is over.
Well, that kind of sounds like what they've been showing at Final Fantasy Versus 13 for the past 5 years. So I don't really see how that's a bad thing. Nomura's been making a living off that. He's rolling in enough money to buy zippers these days. So. Sorry.
It's. I think there's a difference between showing video and not showing a lot of gameplay, and being like, "Oh yeah, we have a playable demo. You can move the character."
Yeah.
Yes.
The last video of Final Fantasy Versus 13, it was Nomura saying, "No, seriously, we've been making a game. I promise. This is what we've been working on."
Yeah. So a last couple things about the demo is that so it seems. I did a little bit of quick research. It seems that you're going to be going. You're going to make your character, choose a class. You get to play through a little bit of Kirkwall, which is like one of the big new areas for the game. You'll meet Isabella, who is a smuggler and one of the romantic interests.
She was in Dragon Age 1 too.
Was she?
Yep.
I suppose I will run into her at some point.
Most likely, and you will not be able to recognize her with that new engine.
And then once you complete the demo, you will unlock Hater's Razor. I think it's Haters.
Haters wanna hate, lovers wanna.
But you and your songs, man.
What?
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Yeah, Hater's Razor, which is a dwarf blade with a few special abilities, for use in the full game. And so. I just want to talk about BioWare real quick.
Zach, you sound angry.
No, I have such an issue with how they're charging for not charging, but there's so much pre-order DLC, and this doesn't even go back to the Signature Edition.
I was going to say, are you gonna prove me right now?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
But weapons and armor in their games. Mass Effect 2 has 10 new weapons that you can't get if you just have a vanilla copy of the game. And the thing with Mass Effect is I think it's a little bit more impactful than it is with Dragon Age, because Mass Effect, you have the weapons really kind of determine not your playstyle so much, but they do modify how you interact, not how you, but how you shoot aliens in the face, So I dislike that BioWare is not purposefully withholding things. And granted, play the demo. It's not going to ruin anything for you, or you get a free weapon. But the pre-order bonuses of the Lion of Orlais shield and the Fade Shear sword, I just think that why not just throw it in the game?
I think
make it freely available.
I'm going to defend BioWare on this one because I feel like that's more EA than anything else. I mean, Dead Space 1 and 2, there's literally 30,000 weapons, and I was looking at some of the differences. You can get the Zealot Force Gun in Dead Space 2, and I'm like, oh, well, what's that? It does 5% more damage than the regular Force Gun in Dead Space 2. I'm like, really? You're going to charge $1.99 for that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be fair to BioWare, it probably is more EA on the EA side of business, but I mean, just DLC in general, it's been a trend over the past, let's say 5 years since the Xbox came out, and it's still something that people are feeling out. But I feel like for a full price title, I feel like we're at this weird adolescent, not even weird, pre-adolescent stage of kind of managing the difference, trying to figure out the difference between a free to play microtransaction driven MMO and like a full $60 release with content that would previously be, like if you look at, let's say, like Street Fighter, just, like off the top of my head, you have to pay for costumes, and like costumes would previously be something that you can unlock.
I actually disagree specifically with the Street Fighter example there. It's not like the guys were like, oh yeah, we made all these awesome costumes and we're going to charge for them. It's stuff that they've been making over the course of whatever. I'm sure that there's an art team that's working on it, and it's not like it was just one or two costumes, because they added all the colors, which is kind of what I would expect. No. The colors were in the game.
I know.
Rob, I don't appreciate your tone.
No.
Rob, I don't appreciate your tone.
Stop yelling at me.
I don't mind when they do DLC where it's stuff that doesn't impact the gameplay. Like, you don't feel like something was cut out that should have been in the game. But, like, when they just add costumes, that's stuff that I'm cool with, because that's not going to affect me playing the game, but I can have something extra if I want it.
True.
All right.
But on the other hand, if they do cool stuff like they do with Mass Effect 2, where they add, like, entire missions that in some cases are actually really good, then I think that's cool.
I want content. I don't care about items. Like that was the stuff in the Signature Edition for Dragon Age 2 that I didn't care about. I didn't care about the items. I cared more about, getting the soundtrack. Like, that was the kind of stuff that I like when it comes special with a pre-order. But costumes and weapons, those sort of things, I won't go after those, but new pieces of content. And I'll go back to the best piece of downloadable content I think that has come out, if we're going to exclude expansion packs, which was Undead Nightmare for Red Dead. I mean, that was phenomenal. Like, I'm hoping that they do something like that for LA Noire. I mean, shoot, I hope that I see, like, gangster zombies just like, man, see brains, like, coming up to me. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I like, and I think Rockstar is doing an incredible job with that. Again, with the 2 episodes for Liberty City, even if they didn't sell as well as Microsoft was hoping, that's the kind of content that I want to see. I don't really care about weapons.
Like, I certainly prefer and will only really buy the like content that actually adds something to the game. But I feel like, maybe this is just like getting back to like what back when we didn't have achievements, like as the little kind of like nudge towards like doing something. Back when like finding the hidden bosses and stuff. And yeah, I'm like only like a baby, but like I still I managed to play my fair share of PS2 RPGs.
Like defeating Omega Weapon in Final Fantasy VIII, you got proof of Omega.
Exactly, like it's just like it doesn't do all. Like, it's nice, like it's. I feel like costumes were kind of in that realm of like do this extra thing. Maybe I could be just mistaken, but anyway, so that's my rant on
that. Okay, we liked your rant. All right, next,
let's see. We've got some new Valkyria Chronicles 3 DLC is coming out. I really like. I figure a lot of this. There's so much news that I'm just gonna kind of jump over. Phantasy Star Online 2 is going into alpha test this summer.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you're in Japan, oh snap, I can do this. Oh man, I might try to. Okay, yeah. You can, if you have a copy, a first. Oh, I'm gonna need to figure out how it is. If you get a first print retail copy of Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity, which will have a yellow sticker on it, and this is in Japan, of course. You will get a you'll then get a code that will enter you into a drawing to be chosen for that. So if you want to play Phantasy Star Online 2, you
have to jump through all these hoops, and even then, it's not a guarantee.
You have to buy 10 copies of Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity.
Pretty much. And unfortunately, so that's Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity, for those of you who are wondering. Comes out in Japan February 24th. And apparently they're also going to be giving codes to people still playing Phantasy Star Universe and Phantasy Star Online Blueburst, which is
nice.
Blueburst is still around.
I think
Blueburst
it's just
awesome.
Japan, because I know that there are slightly less than savory ways of playing it currently. You
can play like a private server or something.
Yeah.
I think that's actually legal though. I think they released the code for running a server or something.
So I think there are like a couple of servers. Anyways, so they're giving codes to those people too, but I have a feeling this is a Japan only thing. For more details, we have a gallery up for Phantasy Star Portable Infinity to Infinity, whatever, and beyond. Disgaea 4.
Turbo assault battery.
Disgaea 4 has new galleries. Pokemon Black and White has new galleries. Disgaea 4 is especially pretty awesome looking because they have those new HD sprites. There's new costume DLC for Mass Effect 2.
Is there a way that we can make Jack look sluttier?
Jack isn't in this one.
Oh.
It's Miranda.
She's
looks
in the
Miranda
back of the ship where she should be.
Less slutty. Tali looks normal, and then I was gonna say Rex. Grunt looks like he's from Tron.
Cool.
Yeah, Miranda has too much armor on. There's not enough skin tightness to her costume.
Yeah, but she's got those weird horse teeth, which always kind of freak me out a little bit. She does. She has a weird smile. I don't know what it is about Mass Effect 2, but the teeth look weird.
Miranda is very strange looking.
I'm gonna keep going. There's new details, or rather new screens and a trailer for Dungeon Siege 3. Harvest Moon Back to Nature is coming to PS1 Classics, so check that out on PSN. It's $6. Harvest Moon I like. Good, real news. Torchlight 1 for XBLA is coming March 9th for 1,200 space bucks.
Cool.
I just care about more the Beyond Good and Evil HD comes out the week
that
before.
Also, it's part of the Xbox Live House Party deal, right? And that's only Beyond Good and Evil is only $10. Do we cover that?
I know it's not an RPG, but you know what? I don't care.
Zelda-like, whatever.
Yeah,
so
but
good.
if you haven't played Beyond Good and Evil, I love Torchlight and I love the guys at Runic. I don't mean to say anything negative about their game. It's great. If you haven't played it on PC, it's actually less expensive on Xbox Live than it was initially on PC. Mm-hmm. You need to buy it. But you also need to go buy another points card, and you need to buy Beyond Good and Evil HD, because if you don't, you're missing out on an amazing game.
Yeah. And then on the same Torchlight vein, the sequel has been delayed until July at least, just because they're working on Torchlight 1. For that Xbox thing.
I really like that those guys are actually like redoing the interface and really making it.
It is good. I mean, like, granted, you couldn't really play, like your traditional point and click.
Yeah.
Really with.
But I just think it's nice that they're really trying to like, not just shoehorn, like basically get it working somehow. Like, I mean, they couldn't leave point and click, but like they're actually like putting a substantial amount of effort into making an interface that feels really good.
Yeah,
and it kind of shows that maybe we should get Diablo on console.
We
sure
did. We got Diablo.
I played the crap out of it.
Maybe they could just finish the PC version, because they're like they won't commit to a 2011 date.
Can we talk about that news story?
What news story? Oh, right, yeah. I don't know if it came up on the site, but yeah. So, Diablo 3 may not come out this year.
But that was interesting, because that was an investor call that they said that Diablo 3, there's not going to be a Blizzard release in 2011, and then the lead designer
said they weren't committing to a release in 2011. Right. They weren't sure.
Right, and the lead designer for Diablo 3 said, it is our hope that we will get the game out in 2011, and then the next information that came out was, there's going to be beta news in May.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Dude, StarCraft 2 had beta, and then like 3 months later, it was out.
All right, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think it'll make release this year.
I think
it'll be like the last day.
When's BlizzCon?
I can't podcast if the beta comes out on a podcast.
BlizzCon's in September, like it always is.
Okay.
Well, what I'm worried about is LA Noire comes out in May, but that game, which is probably the game I'm most looking forward to this year, aside from Dragon Age 2. But if Diablo 3 comes out, all bets are off. Like just
see.
Yep, game's over for everything else.
Game over, man. Game over.
I think I'm gonna make this the last bit of news, just because so much of it. Mass Effect 3 has a new composer. Yay.
I feel bad.
Well, that's the thing is, like, was it the same composer between 1 and 2?
I think.
In the first one, it was Sam Hulick and Jack Wall. And then in the third one, they actually got a guy from OC Remix along with – they had basically a team of composers, and Jack Wall supervised it. And I'm hoping that this new guy they have for 3 is going to work with the other ones because, it seems like it's just like a publicity thing to go get some big famous composer from a movie that's really popular right now.
Yeah, I believe he's the composer from Black Swan, right?
Yes.
So he did Black Swan, Requiem for a Dream, The Wrestler, and The Fountain.
Wrestler, great movie.
Yeah. And so the one thing that I will say about, soundtrack wise is, I wasn't a huge fan of Mass Effect 2 soundtrack. Yeah.
I kind of agree. I mean, it's there's good tracks.
It goes in comparison to Mass Effect 1. Because if you play for me that song at the end where it's like Shepard's of Mass Effect 1, so Miles.
It's called M4 Part 2, I believe.
No, the one where he's like climbing out of the wreckage and it's like duh duh. It's like super epic cool. And it's awesome. Anyways, that song is so much better than anything in Mass Effect 2. And so is the theme music for Mass Effect 1 is better than Mass Effect 2.
Look, guys, you look at some of these Japanese games and they're still they have the same soundtrack that Motoi Sakuraba did 15 years ago. I can't complain about the soundtracks with the people who are actually competent in the West. I
have no problem, but it's just it's a matter of quality. Damn it!
you just don't like new things.
Maybe I don't know.
Think about that one for a while.
It confuses me.
So are we done with news?
Yeah, let's be done with news. Let's be done.
This is already gonna be a long one.
Yeah, this is already gonna be a long one. Eric's gonna be yelling at us.
There's some stuff that needs to be cut out, but yeah.
Well, we hadn't talked for 3 weeks. We meant to have a show last week, but it didn't happen.
Sorry, I was away. My bad.
Yeah, we hate you.
All all you fans.
All right, so I guess that's it. We need to decide if we're going to do a podcast after the release of the demo of Dragon Age 2 or if we just want to wait. I think we can probably get another show in when that releases. So we'll probably have the demo to talk about. I'm sure there will be other games to talk about. Somebody's going to pick up Radiant Historia, right? I thought about it.
Yes.
But
I want to.
I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to blow through it.
Is that this week?
Yeah. I don't have a day and date.
Radiant Historia it's next week because it's Sunday now. I think it comes out on the 22nd.
What?
The 22nd.
Yeah, okay.
Sunday.
That's a Tuesday.
Yeah. It would be Tuesday.
So it's 9 days from the day that we're recording this.
So,
I want to pick it up. I really do, but I don't think I'll get through it in time with Dragon Age coming out. And then
you know what, Rob? If you don't buy that game, I'm going to punch you in the dick.
I know. I really want to. Actually, I really want to.
In that activity as well.
Look, here's the thing. Radiant Historia, I played an hour of it when we got our preview run and before we sent it away to Neil for review. That game is probably nothing short of amazing based on the hour that I played of it.
All right.
I need to buy me some Pokemon.
John's making me buy games that I want to play.
Yeah.
Damn you. Well, it's just, it'll suck if I don't get through it in time for Dragon Age because I know this is what's going to happen. My spring break at my school starts. Remember, I'm a teacher, not a student. That's why I grew the beard back out. My spring break starts 5 days before Dragon Age 2 comes out. Dragon Age 2 comes out, that is going to be my spring break. I'm treating it like a 9-to-5 job. I'm going to get up in the morning, have some food, and play. So we'll have Radiant Historia to talk about. We'll have Dragon Age 2 demo to talk about. We'll probably have more games to talk about. We'll make sure that Stephen doesn't talk about Final Fantasy 13 anymore. I'm sorry.
The combat system is a masterpiece.
I'm sorry I enjoy shooting space aliens in the face. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Make sure you stay up on iTunes. Make sure you guys are talking about us in the podcast thread. Make sure you guys subscribe to us on the show through the RSS feed, through iTunes. Thank you very much, and we will see you all next time.